Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a massive collision course happening right now in the world of transportation. We've got a rapidly growing fleet of electric vehicles on one side and the highly anticipated arrival of autonomous robo-taxis on the other. And right in the middle, a physical charging grid that is seriously struggling to keep pace. We're going to break down the hard data, the massive business pivots, the new government regulations, and ultimately figure out how all of this impacts the reality of cars that drive themselves. To really wrap our heads around the scale of this challenge, just look at this massive number, 34%. Based on data from more than 100 million EV charging sessions on the ChargePoint network, demand isn't just creeping up, it is absolutely surging. A 34% jump in total charging sessions in a single year is a huge leap, especially when you consider that global EV sales only grew by about 20% in that same period. What this tells us is that the vehicles already out there on the road are being driven harder and utilized way more than ever before. And that brings us to the core bottleneck. Demand is growing more than twice as fast as our physical infrastructure. While those charging sessions jumped by 34%, the installation of new charging ports, well, that only grew by 16%. Even with 190,000 new ports becoming available on this specific network, utilization is dramatically outpacing physical expansion. This is the literal textbook definition of an infrastructure crunch. We simply cannot deploy the hardware fast enough to comfortably meet daily needs. ChargePoint's CEO, Rick Wilmer, really hit the nail on the head here, warning that this bottleneck is only going to get worse going into 2026. Think about this. Nearly 60% of the 19.3 billion electric miles they've enabled over the last 18 years happened just in the last 2 years alone. The whole paradigm has shifted. We can't just look at new car sales anymore as the main benchmark. It's the cumulative total of EVs on the road that's creating this immense pressure. If you drive an EV yourself, this is exactly why public chargers are starting to feel increasingly scarce and, well, crowded. Section 1. Charging as a Service. So to solve this major hardware scarcity problem, the market is undergoing a massive pivot toward a booming software and service solution. Building and maintaining chargers is incredibly capital intensive, right? Because of that, 55% of the market has already shifted to flexible subscriptions to ensure reliable access. Instead of a commercial real estate owner or delivery fleet buying a charging station and just crossing their fingers that it doesn't break, they're turning to a pay-per-use or subscription model. End users don't want to be hardware managers. They just want electricity that works seamlessly every single time. And this shift is creating a massive 20.5% growth trajectory. The charging as a service market sits at an estimated $2.6 billion heading into 2026. But fast forward a decade from now, it's forecasted to completely explode to $16.8 billion. The primary driver behind all of this is fleet charging, which makes up about 42% of this demand. Delivery logistics, municipal services, ride-hailing networks, they are aggressively outsourcing their charging operations so they can actually focus on their core business rather than stressing out about grid loads and broken cables. Okay, so how exactly does this model guarantee that uptime? Charging as a service, or CaaS, isn't just about renting a plug. It bundles the physical hardware with smart networked management platforms, predictive maintenance, and integrated billing. We all know early EV charging rollouts were notoriously plagued by payment issues and broken stations. By treating charging as a fully managed service, providers take on all that operational complexity and financial risk, ensuring high uptime through really strict service-level commitments. Section 2. The new regulatory hammer. The absolutely crucial point here is that the Wild West of EV charging is officially over. For years, companies could just install a charger, pocket a government subsidy, and walk away, even if the thing broke a week later. Well, not anymore. Governments are stepping in. In the US, the NEVI program has shifted from just handing out installation cash to aggressively punishing downtime, requiring a 97% uptime score that actually docks points for payment errors. Meanwhile, over in the EU, the AFI regulation treats charging as an essential public service. It mandates ad hoc payments, meaning you are never forced to download some proprietary app just to get a quick charge. This strict new enforcement creates a literal survival checklist for companies entering 2026. And this isn't just some friendly best practice guidance. It's a hard filter for market entry. Providers have got to ensure 24/7 operation, completely transparent per kilowatt-hour pricing upfront, and universal payment access. On the tech side, rigorous hardware safety compliance and reliable network connectivity are absolutely mandatory now. If your charging infrastructure fails this checklist, you are structurally excluded from public tenders and those all-important government subsidies. Section 3. The robo-taxi reality check.
Now, if human-driven EVs are already pushing our grid to its absolute limits, the ultimate stress test is the arrival of autonomous fleets. Right now, we're seeing two very different scales of operation. Waymo is operating at a massive volume, completing roughly 500,000 paid rides every single week across 10 U.S. metropolitan areas with a fleet of about 3,000 vehicles. On the flip side, Tesla recently reported achieving nearly 700,000 total paid miles in their early-stage rollout. Understanding these differing scales is vital as we look at how these companies plan to interact with our physical infrastructure going forward.
And Tesla has outlined an incredibly aggressive timeline to expand their service across major U.S. cities. Currently, they're operating in Austin and the Bay Area, but their shareholder deck confirmed plans to launch in Dallas and Houston in the first half of 2026. Following close behind that are major markets like Phoenix, Miami, Orlando, Tampa, and Las Vegas. This rapid expansion means a sudden, intense new demand for specialized charging infrastructure concentrated in very specific geographic pockets. However, there is a hard break on this ambitious timeline. During a recent earnings call, CEO Elon Musk admitted that safety validation is the true limiting factor for scaling up. The approach here is extremely cautious, heavily prioritizing a zero-injury rollout. And this is a really vital piece of context. It actually explains the behavior of these vehicles on the road, which often looks to passengers like software glitches, but is in reality a very strict safety protocol in action. To really grasp that safety constraint, you just have to look at the underlying data. Recent unredacted filings to the NHTSA reveal the crash rate of Tesla robotaxis in Austin is one crash for every 57,000 miles driven. To put that into perspective, the average human driver has an incident roughly once every 229,000 miles. So mathematically, the autonomous rate in this specific rollout is currently about 4 times worse than human drivers. This reality is exactly why expansion is being handled with such intense, calculated caution. And you know, these safety limitations directly manifest as some seemingly annoying convenience issues for the rider. Reporters testing the service have noted bizarre experiences. Cars avoiding expressways to take a 35-minute surface street detour, massive wait times, vehicles confined to tiny suburban geofences, and remote teleoperators having to take over at crawling speeds just to navigate a construction zone. These aren't just random software bugs. They are the system intentionally defaulting to where it feels mathematically safest. Section 4. Automating the charge. Bringing this all full circle, think about it. If a car drives itself, it needs to be able to charge itself, right? You just can't scale a fully automated ride-hailing network if you still rely on human workers plugging and unplugging cables all day. So, two leading hardware solutions are racing to solve this depot bottleneck. Roxys recently raised $13 million for an overhead-mounted hands-free robotic arm that can physically plug into vehicles across multiple bays with zero human intervention. Conversely, Tesla's approach for its purpose-built Cybercab completely bypasses the plug, relying on wireless inductive charging pads instead. Both aim to entirely eliminate the human element from the charging depot. Which leaves us with a massive, critical unknown. We've got skyrocketing demand for electricity, strict new government regulations demanding near-perfect uptime, and autonomous vehicles that require specialized, human-free depots to scale. As the software-powering self-driving cars evolves at breakneck speed, the ultimate question remains: will our physical grid, our new regulations, and our hardware be the strong foundation that builds the autonomous future, or the bottleneck that finally breaks it? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.